Yeah, it was a challenge for sure. The challenges were not to demonize him, not to put the audience through something that is just unrealistic and cliche. These are people, and shit happens. And, you know, it was really important that we brought that across in this character. It was hard, you know. I literally had a baby a month before I started filming. It was my first son. And then I went off and made that film. And it was the toughest thing for me to do because my mind wasn't in that space. So it became, you know, a challenge that I had to really embrace. Yeah. If I'm honest, right, it's more, I'm so much more proud of being a producer than my performance in this film because, you know, as a producer, you know, you bring a lot of elements and you face a lot of doors being closed in your face. And in this case, you know, we did have a hard time making it, but we got there in the end. And that's like the biggest, you know, and it wasn't about me or my performance. It was a group effort. And that's a really fulfilling journey, you know. Yeah, okay, so the crew are very much a family. Actually, Carrie brought his crew from The True Detective, and they came in a well-oiled engine, and you know, without a doubt, you just felt supported. It was more like filming a documentary than a film crew because they just showed up ready to work all the time. My costume team were incredible. They helped me, you know, sculpt this character and bring that alive. Super important about costume and makeup. It's a collaborative effort, and yeah, I had a great time doing that.
Oh, you can't believe it. I mean, when I drafted the screenplay of Room, when the novel was finished but before it was published, I was just trying to put my foot in the door before somebody slammed it, you know. I knew that it's a hard world to break into, and I thought I might as well try my hand at this. But for it to have made such a satisfying film and for me to win an award for writing it, it's just so moving. Jacob, I mean, we knew some actors out there could play this role, but we couldn't be sure that there was a child that small and young looking. I mean, you can't fake, you know, that softness of feature that they have when they're so small. We couldn't have known there'd be a 7-year-old who was capable of this role. And yet Lenny Abrahamson never asked me to dumb down the writing. He never said trim a line or make it simpler, not a bit. He just told me the kid is out there somewhere. And I think Jacob has brought an astonishing level of naturalism to this role. I think he's pushed where child acting can go. You know, I can't believe how lucky we were to find him.
All right, thank you for asking that. I was about to say the Indonesian genocide began 50 years ago, but in a terrible way it hasn't ended because the perpetrators have been in power ever since, and millions of survivors have been living in fear. I would have continued and said, had there been time, I would have said that we're honored to have been able to make 2 films, The Act of Killing and The Look of Silence, that have helped energize and inspire a movement for truth, justice, and reconciliation in Indonesia, where before there was silence or even noisy celebration. And the silence in the title doesn't only refer to silence in Indonesia, it also refers to our silence in the face of these crimes, because the Indonesian genocide isn't only Indonesian history, it's American history. The United States provided weapons, training, money, and lists of thousands of names of Indonesian public figures whom the US government wanted murdered. And we therefore need to do the same as the Indonesians. We need to break our silence. We need to declassify the documents detailing our role in these crimes and take responsibility. And finally, my thank you would have been at the end that We're honored and thankful to the independent film community for giving the film the attention that allows us to make a real difference with it. So after the Oscars, we'll be going with the National Human Rights Commission of Indonesia to Washington, D.C. to meet with White House staff and congressional staff and State Department staff, urging the U.S. to declassify our documents and take responsibility so film can truly be a mirror for truth, but only with the help of the audience and the film community. So for that, we're really grateful.
Do you guys know who everybody is? Some of the reporters? Okay, you know the actors. This is the real Phil Saviano here, played by Neil Huff. And the real Sasha Pfeiffer here. The real Marty Barron stepping on stage. And, and the real Robbie Robinson. Sorry, I thought it was Keaton. And then everyone else, our casting directors, Kerry Barden, Paul Schnee. And Mike Resendez down there, tucked behind. And then Rachel McAdams. Okay. Yeah, I think, of course, right? I mean, you're right. Not only because we had spent a lot of time with the people you see on the stage, but specifically getting to know some of the survivors like Phil and Joe Crowley. I think we all felt the collective weight of responsibility to present this story in a way that in no way seemed sensationalized or gratuitous, just was straightforward. And I think we, in large part, took our inspiration from the reporting, from the work that these guys did, which was so direct and so on point and so hard-hitting that it left no room for rebuttal. And I think, we certainly stand on their shoulders in making and telling this story, and I would point to them first.
I really didn't know. I just wanted to make a movie that I was proud of, that I connected to, that I would have wanted to see myself, a movie that I wish that was around when I was a teenage girl. I feel like there's not a lot of really honest representation of teenage girls in the media. So for me, it was really about just being true to that voice and trying to honor that girl and tell that story. And I kind of didn't think about moments like this. I didn't think about where it could potentially lead. I just really wanted to do right by that story. But this is just such a nice honor.
I mean, the spirit is the same. I mean, what I said on the stage about, the whole idea of awarding why is my images better than one of the other nominees? They were all really special, and it's just, it reached certain people. But for me, if you're nominated, that should be the award, you know? You know, we always have to have winners, but I feel as bad when I win as when I lose, to tell you the truth. Maybe a little less when I win, but I always think it's an unfair process. But that's what we like.
It's huge. I mean, he's a pioneer and he's a genius, and he's my hero. And the way we made this movie, we shot it in 9 days at my mom's house. It stars my aunt. You know, my girlfriend and her mom were the caterers. It's truly an independent movie. My grandma's in it. She didn't know we were making a movie. So we never dreamed we would be here. We premiered it over like a year ago at South by Southwest, and then now it's incredible. It's amazing. Yeah.
You know, I do want to say something. When I was a young actress in Los Angeles, it was the beginning of the independent movement, and Robert Altman was getting started, and Cassavetes was like a god. And I used to go and watch his movies, like with his giant eyes, you know. And it's when I believed that movies could do something besides make money. And I'm so proud to be in a movie that's about a lot more than just making money.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, it's been really meaningful the way it's touching people, and that truly is what matters to us.
We're lucky enough to have an amazing. Are you okay?
She's a little excited.
I'm not drinking anyways.
The movie comes out next month. Please go see it. It's an amazing distributor, A24, who was brave enough to release it. And thank you guys. I don't know if we were saying anything else.
You know, I would say in some ways not challenging at all, because Tom's vision from the very beginning was, let's stay authentic. Let's be as real as we possibly can. And I think I was nervous, although as anyone who knows me knows, I'm always nervous. So, but I was a little nervous about, how are we going to keep 6 characters alive as opposed to 2? But, I think once I had committed to it and we started doing the research and we started working together, it was in some ways freeing to be able to just write towards what the actual story was. And, writing with Tom is perhaps the greatest partner I've ever had as a writer, so it makes everything easier.
That's a very good question. So far, my producers have had a tendency of taking my awards and locking me out of the awards. They have the Globe, and I have to probably to ask them to give it back to me. So I hope to keep it this time.
What it means to have this trophy in my hand. When I look at acting, I don't look at the money or the fame or anything like that. I went through a very, very hard struggle. And for me, I just feel like when I do stuff like this, I have to let other people know you can do whatever you put your mind to. So, yeah, because the struggle was real for me and I got out of it.
Yeah, I mentioned that on stage when I was talking about the ensemble. As the budget was getting bigger, relative for a story like this, you need actors like that. You just won't get the financing. And I was really fortunate to get this cast. I felt like, as you've seen in my other movies, I don't always cast with the most well-known actors. This felt like it really needed it for some reason. I felt just something about that with the sort of anonymity of the reporters seemed to work well. And fortunately what happened is every actor I went out to, we just got. It came together really quickly. I was just, I think they just responded to the story and they responded to the script. I have a nice chest at my office that I put them in, then I shut it. I don't like to see them. So, but it is. It's look, it's an honor, and it always feels weird at the end of the year, kind of comparing movies and competition. You feel that every day when I see clips of my movies against opposite movies. They're all so different. So it comes a point you got to switch that off in your head and just be thrilled to be here and enjoying it. And as I said, I find it all kind of inspiring. So a lot of these movies I haven't seen, I'm really excited to see.
Yeah, I thought I was nominated for Best Young Actor, and I found out that it was Best Actor, and so I got really happy that I was nominated for Best Actor. Yeah. You know, my first time I met Idris on set working with him, I was like shy of him and afraid of him. And I know that it helps me a lot because that makes me more emotional, because me being afraid of him, because the first time he captured me, I was afraid of him. But getting to the scene that we will be close, he started talking to me and he helped me a lot on set. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, yes, the whole process was really taxing, and that's why it was really important to me to understand and have clear boundaries. A huge part of it was not just knowing her, but knowing myself, so I could have a clear distinction between the two. I made very pointed choices because I had to go on a restrictive diet, I couldn't be in the sun. There were so many sacrifices I had to make personally that I wanted to make sure that at the end of the day, when I came home from a day of work into that foreign apartment in Toronto, that it even smelled like home. So I would burn Palo Santo, I'd bring things from home. I'd do all sorts of things to make sure that when I came home, I was me, and that that was a real comforting home base, and that I didn't get too lost in the process.
I mean, I think this was a film from a story from the get-go that we just realized its extraordinary import, and the work that the Globe had done had ramifications worldwide and continued to do so. And I think that we just felt like this story was something that people knew a lot of, might have known about, but they didn't know where it started and the work of the Globe. And I think that was really, it was just an extraordinary, important tale to be told.